How's it going, everyone? We're here to check out the top skins submitted to the workshop for this week. If you're new and don't know what that means, or is confused like how there's so many and then you don't see them in the shop, well, the game's lead dev and creator, Hulk, picks out 8 to 10 skins every week. Hundreds are submitted every week, and then it pretty much just moves on. And unless it's part of a already existing popular set, there's probably not a chance that it will become, someone will come back to it and it'll be accepted again. So that's just kind of how it works. So 8 to 10 of these have a chance, and starting off, we're going to go into my personal top 10. First one here is going to be the Kitchen Warfare set, and, well, Hulk actually picked the bandana and put it in. So the bandana that looks like a cheese grater that's currently in the shop right now, or I guess I'm popping it up on the screen right now for you. Yep, that plus this poncho were a set. And the only reason I can think maybe Hulk didn't do the poncho is because this part is really rough, where some of the plates bend as your character moves around. That could probably be fixed by making those areas cloth and then just having the plates only hang on the plates and pans and utensils only hanging from the parts that don't bend so much. Like the shoulders look good and everything. I think the back looks pretty good. Some of these are very bent and messed up. That definitely works. But I think where the ones move here on the shoulders, it just looks a little too funky, especially this one here. But that might have been why Hulk skipped on it, or maybe he's going to put this piece in this week. I don't know. One way or another, this is definitely the one that wins for creativity this week. Next up, we've got the Neanderthal hide halter neck and skirt, and these are here because, well, definitely very well done set. But the other thing is, we don't get skirts and halter necks very often, and this is just a very beautifully detailed set, especially with like the necklace and so forth. Then you have the teeth, and it's kind of hard to do because there's a lot of separate sections to the halter neck. It's more kind of like a wrap, and I think they really just did a really good job with this. Last for our clothing in the top 10, we've got the Road Angels MC set. And MC, I'm pretty sure, stands for motorcycle, and or motor club maybe, but one way or another, we have the motorcycle update coming out this week, as all seems to be going well. So this is right on theme. We've got a couple things this week with that motorcycle theme, and I think that Azeroth did a beautiful job at making this just really, really awesome. It has all these different details. You've got the chains, the patches, the stars. You've got a big old Road Angels thing back here, Hell's Angels, Road Demons, it kind of just, let's just combine it and make up a different thing, right? And it just works very well. Definitely very cool and on theme. Next for our deployables, we've got the Shadowborn rug, and this set has been pretty popular, but this rug is just absolutely beautiful. Every piece has the same color scheme, but completely different art on it. And it's been a bit since we've seen some pieces, and this one's just really on point with the new motorcycles coming into the game and the bicycles, and I think the art on this is just something people would appreciate and love to hang up in their base. Then over here, we've got ourselves a wooden door, and the whole thing is made to look like it's made out of wicker. It is the simply named Wicker Door by Giva, and we'll go ahead and take it both. Look at both sides here. That's always important with wooden doors. And it's just a simple thing, but it's just been really well sculpted. It doesn't look flat. It's not just a pasted on, look, and they just used a unique idea once again. Moving on, we have a garage door up next, and it's the Infernal Guardians garage door by Shedmon, and this thing is just, well, honestly, it's just badass looking. It's very crazy, and it's cool, and that's simply just what it kind of comes down to. And moving on to our last deployable, we've got one more garage door, and it's the Lion's Castle Gates by Little Ranger, and this is just one that is, of course, a epic example of just sculpting something beautiful. You've got the chains up in here. It's always nice to have details on a roller. It makes a huge difference, as you can see here, between the two. And then you've got, this really beautiful carved out lion who brave wins? Who's brave wins? Who brave wins? Okay, there you go. And the main thing here is it has a transparency at the bottom to look like an old spikes at the bottom of like a castle gate. And I think that is just a really nice added bonus. And there's also a little tiny peeky hole right there as well Probably not the most useful, but hey, still a cool little addition to that. We go ahead and kill the lights. There is a nice glow coming off of those lanterns there, and apparently I triggered a thunderstorm, so hey, atmosphere. Gotta turn weather off after this video. And there is that rug. Moving on to our top 10 weapons here. First up, we've got the Wartech SAR by Navarom. And this is just a very clean cut look. I can see a lot of people really loving this. And it just, takes the SAR from looking so scrappy to something that almost looks brand new. And there's some little details here and there, some nice little carving. Aiming down the sights, you do have kind of orange versus that black, kind of flat black color, I would say. And yeah, just altogether, it's a very nice SAR that I could see a lot of people going for. Then we've got an AK for you this week. It's the Imp AK-47, and this one is just, there's a lot of AKs every week, but this one was, again, just beautifully sculpted. Everything's very clean cut. It looks nice, it pops, but it's kind of simple, but it also has enough going on to where it's unique, especially with the kind of like the jaw back here. And then look at the sight. It definitely has a very nice cut sight there, and I just think it's all the details that just bring this together to a very solid AK. Last but not least, we have a Balti for you. It's the Prototype 7164 to be specific. This has been a very good selling set. Hulk seems to like it quite a bit, and Baltis don't always come in very often, so it'd be really nice to see this one here. I think it translates to the Balti very well, and aiming down the sights here, you got your little robot friend, a nice little kind of golden yellow tip to the sights, like the rest of the set. So yeah, definitely one I think a lot of people would appreciate seeing in the shop. But that does it for the top 10 people. Let's go ahead and roll off on to the rest of the submissions for the week. All right, jumping into clothing, we've got, well, it might look like it's maybe a riot helmet or a boonie hat. No, this is a burlap head wrap. Yeah, I'm not sure how they did it, but they made it look like a bicycle helmet, and they just did an incredible job. This one is definitely one that was sitting there as a close runner-up for the top 10, just for the creativity on it alone. Then we do have a couple of boonie hats for you. First one here is going to be the Disco Boonie Hat by Kika. And as you can see, it's just exactly what you'd expect. A bunch of shattered disco ball glass across the rim and top of a boonie. The next boonie hat here is for all the fisher men and women out there. The fishing season boonie hat, to be specific. You can see it has some tackles and lures and all sorts of little things, hooks. You got the fishing division little symbol there, and it just has a nice kind of like breathable look to it. Nice kind of little camo, and yeah, it's just one of those things that just fits right into the world. Next, our last boonie hat is the drone boonie, and yeah, I mean, the whole thing looks like a little drone, and it's pretty silly, and it's kind of ridiculous, but I mean, the creativity, you got to give it to that, and the sculpting is well done. I mean, this isn't an easy thing to do without it looking very, very weird. Next up, we've got a combo for you with the Mob Boss continuation with a poncho and boonie hat. You got a simple old-fashioned gray mobster hat and that dark gray kind of overcoat. Looks like an old torn up kind of suit to go along with it. Next up, we've got a hoodie and pants set for you, and it's got another biking theme with the motor biker suit, and it has a kind of black leather motocross kind of look to it. Definitely another one I could see a lot of people liking, and it is all black, so that can help at kind of night and so forth. Next hoodie and pants were runner up for the top 10, and this is the Wasp set by Multi-Hat, and as you can see why, it's this crazy sculpture. The whole thing kind of looks like a mesh underneath, very similar to kind of like a bug's wings, and then the rest of it just really does look like a chitin over armor. For the rest of it, you even have, the whole, they just did a great design here with it, and I think it's really, really cool looking. Next, we have the Sand Rhino set version 3 for the hoodie and pants, and basically, Version 3 is kind of where you either say you made it or you break it. And I think they did a really good job at just really dirtying this up a little more, giving a really more rugged kind of feel to it. This rhino looks like it needed some lotion for its skin, man. That's all I have to say. But definitely a set that would help you blend in the sand, and a lot of people seem to like the rhino set. It did quite well with the pieces that did make it in, so I could see this one as a smart one for this week. Next, we've got the Hell Riders, not Hell's Riders, but Hell Rider jacket. And yeah, it's kind of got the whole vest jacket thing going on. On the back, you've got the Hell Riders, so that does change there. I don't know, Hell Riders instead of Hell's Angels. And yeah, you got to make your own thing one way or another. Definitely a cool design. Next up, we do have a singular set of boots for you, and they are part of the gold chains set. So, of course, they've got gold tips, and they've got gold chains around the bottoms, and then you got that same tiger print, and then in the back, you've got some gold straps back around the leather, which seems to be holding back the tiger print. So there you go, some bling bling shoes. Next we have a riot helmet for you, and it's the Ghost Rider helmet, and as you can see, the whole thing has that kind of old hot rod theme, kind of punk. It's got the studs and so forth, and it just goes right along with the theme of this week's update. Next, we've got our high qual sets for you. The Commando set is up first from Kosum, and as you can see, it has very kind of carbon fiber, matte black kind of look to a very more high-tech kind of design to it. Definitely kind of thing a lot of people really love in Rust. Not too much, but just enough to look unique and have some nice detail. Our next high qual set is the Blaze Camo set, and as you can see, it just kind of has this orange yellow kind of forest camo kind of thing going on with it. And yeah, the whole thing just has a nice little military theme and design to the whole thing. Lots of little pouches. And yeah, I don't think we really have a whole lot of things really themed this kind of color, so I could see this kind of like autumn camo being very popular. Next up, our last high qual set is kind of the weird one. It is the Kittens Raiders set, and yeah, man, that face is scary. That's all I have to say. And the little tiny cat ears are a little bit weird. I don't know, it kind of looks like an angry panda with avocado eyes. One way or another, there's definitely a kitty back here. As you can see, it is trying to escape out of a portal in the back of you or something. I'm not sure. There's definitely a cat within. Alright, moving on to our deployables, we've got a small box up for you, and it is the Magma small box by Ideal, and as you can see, the whole thing just looks like molten magma, as it's named. Definitely has a nice little look to it, and a pretty cool glow that we'll show you once we get there. Moving on, we've got the next part in the Neon Storage set with the Small Berries box. And yeah, this is definitely another one that I could see a lot of people using, as small boxes often hold berries or berry seeds. And yeah, especially if you want to shove one of these underneath a mixing table, it'd be perfect. Then over here we've got another really nice box. This was also in the running for the top 10 this week. This is the Voltage Barrier Large Box. It has a glow to it as well. It just has a very cool looking electrical industrial look to it. And yeah, it'd be a great box for keeping your electrical and kind of stuff in. Definitely has a nice look. Over here we've got a little submarine box for you with the submarine large box. It has a hatch, it has some portholes, it even has a light on the front and a propeller on the other side. Very creative design. Then over here we've got a very pastel box for you with the Rain Joy large box, and it's got a rainbow and all sorts of bright colors to match along. Moving on, we've got the Containment large wooden box, and yeah, this has a really cool design. It looks like an old container, and then it has this like neon kind of like heat sink kind of thing going on, biohazard material, warnings, who knows what is in there. Then moving on, we've got a sprout box for you, and looks like it's all, you know, old welded pieces of iron together, and then you've got these little sprouts just growing through the box. It looks like enough maybe dirt and grime settled to form some soil for them. And over here we've got one last box for you. It is the dragon box. And as you can see, it's got these kind of like bone spike kind of things, and then there's some teeth on the side. Definitely a very creepy looking design. Moving on to our furnaces, the first one up is going to be the dragon egg furnace, and it has this kind of like nest that it's sitting on, and then these crazy, shiny, beautiful dragon scales. Moving on, we've got the dark ore furnace, and it has this very kind of like symbiote kind of egg kind of creepy look to it. Definitely very out of this world and an awesome design. Moving on, we've got a kind of punk look to the neon fire furnace for you. And yeah, as you can see, it's got this neon flame around the outside of it on a kind of like wire mesh. And then it looks like the wires all go into the furnace, which is a crazy idea. Then, last but not least, we've got this monster of a furnace, the Curse of Voodoo. And I don't know what that black stuff is crawling out of there, but that is probably not something you want to find out. Moving on, we've got one other very cool thing, and this was almost a top 10. It was so hard. There's so many good things this week. We've got the tanning bed fridge by Legacy, and this is just a really, really cool idea that was executed quite well. Moving on to our rugs, we've got a nice little design on the old grate rug. You could use this over a window or all sorts of things, do all sorts of cool designs with it, and I could see a lot of people that love their building enjoying this one. Then we've got kind of a goofy rug for you with the fried egg version 2, and it definitely looks like it's less flat. There's some, you know, toasting around the edges. It's there you go. I mean, it's an egg rug. It is what it is. Then we've got the Wicket wooden door, and yeah, it's just that might be way too much transparency, but it's just a very cool design, and I can see a lot of people really kind of digging that for wood. Speaking of wood, we've got a double door, and it's a continuation in the Cozy set. It's the version 2 of the very beat up looking wooden door, and the Cozy set just goes so beautifully with the Legacy wood. Next over here we have another wooden double door for you, and this one here is the Speakeasy double wooden door, along with two versions, one with and without transparency, so you can see you do have the transparency on this one here. Moving on to our sheet metal doors, we've got the Dragon Gate metal door. It comes in a blue and a white dragon, so obviously we have the blue one here. Moving on to our next one is the El Dorado sheet metal door, which definitely has a cool design and look to it. And yeah, you can see all kind of the old faded gold between the aqua and red colors. Then next we've got the Plasticine door version 2, and the whole thing just kind of looks like an old plastic, you know, melted, put together kind of mess. You know, maybe some 3D printed pieces and then some Play-Doh kind of situation. Next over here, we've got the Copper Snake door. This comes in two versions. This is the normal, and there's also a white version that is considered the winter version. Moving along, we've got the Stained Glass Night door as a continuation in Zenny Paris's beautiful stained glass collection. Moving on to our double doors, we've got the Sheet Metal Space Station door, and that's definitely a nice and bright design. You got reds and yellows. It's very in your face, very kind of industrial look, and I can see a lot of people loving this if it popped in. Next, we've got a very beautifully sculpted door for you with a continuation in the Moon Guard set, and these owls and the design and everything is just very serene and beautiful. Moving to our garage doors, first up is the Graffiti Garage door by Lodi. Then we've got ourselves a continuation in the Fiend set with version 2 of the garage door. Then we've got ourselves the Artificial Protection garage door. And a continuation in the oil paints with oil paints version 3. Then moving on to our armor doors, we've got the tempered armor door version 3. So hey, it's a third, you know, like I always say, hopefully it does have a chance. It's been a very popular set, and people always do like glowing single armor doors. Moving on, we've got a continuation in the cell shading set with version 2 of the armored door. That cell shade definitely looks very cool. Always well done, and always reminds me of Borderlands. And last but not least, we do have one more for you. This one had 2 versions. One, you could completely see through it, which just I knew was no way whatsoever. But we've got the wall grind dark door, and this one actually has no hatch at all. So yeah, that's kind of a funky idea. Don't know if that will have a chance, but one way or another, definitely a interesting idea. We'll go ahead and hit the lights here, and we'll cruise on through to see our glows. Cruise on over to the dragon. Our wooden doors. And then all the way down to the tanning bed. And we have our furnaces. And our boxes. There's a little light on the submarine. There's that glow on our electric box. And then we have the small berries and the magma box. Alright, let's move on to our weapons and tools. And first up, we got a brain for you. This is Morpheo's Galaxy Brain. There's 2 versions. One is actually very rainbow colored, but for some reason this bright blue brain just really grabbed my attention. So I definitely love this version personally, but you should check out the other one. Always have that link down in the description below. Then we've got another rock for you. It's a continuation in the MK Ultra set, and this thing is just really creepy. I mean, it continues along with the set, and it glows on top of it. Definitely a very crazy looking rock. Moving on next, we've got ourselves our weapons. First up, we've got some bows, and this one's going to be the Apocalypse Nomad bow, and as you can see, it's got quite a bit of a cutout to the bow, which makes this one quite unique. If we go ahead and draw it back, do a little spin around there, and there we have it. Next, we have ourselves a flamingo bow for you, and it looks like there's feathers covering over pretty much the majority of the bow. It's got a pink bowstring, pink this, pink that, and you can even see some of the feathers stick up, which is a nice little detail. And there you have the pink flamingo. Next up, we've got a continuation of the Cold Hunter set with the water pipe shotgun. So there you go, not something that too many skins pop up for, as they don't tend to sell very often or too well, but hey, there it is. It's always nice to see some primitive weapons get some love. Go ahead and fire it off. And it won't let me reload. Alright, never mind. I guess I don't have any shells. Then we'll move on to a Pompey for you, and it should be pretty familiar as it is the Ditto Pompey. This has been a very popular set with the pieces popping in, and yeah, you know, rat shotgun, so hey, it says shot and you can see the little rat over there. Definitely a funny little one. There's also an arrow at the top that says kill in case you don't know which direction it's supposed to go. Aiming down the sights here, you do have a little face and a aqua kind of tip to the sights for you there. Next up, we've got one more pumpy for you, the Sea Relic Pump Shotgun, and it's old kind of stained brass, basically. You can see it, it's already corroding here and there. There's some aquamarine pieces here and there on it as well. Aiming down the sights, you can see a nice aquamarine tip, almost a jade green. And there we go for the reload. Moving on to pistols, we've got the Black Diamond Revy for you this week. This set has always been very popular, and most pieces seem to make it in when they pop up, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this one make its way into the shop this week. Aiming down the sights here, it's black on black, pretty much to match with the rest of the set there. Moving on, we've got a custom for you, the Sci-Fi SMG to be specific. It kind of has like random chunks of metal kind of pieces looking to it. And yeah, it's just a kind of very unique look, and you got that yellow and white and black kind of going on. Aiming down the sights, you do have black sights versus the yellow body of the gun. Moving on, we've got an MP5 for you this week, and it's the Yakuza MP5. I don't know if you can actually call it Yakuza. They'd probably change it to something one way or another, though. Very, very cool artwork on it. Aiming down the sights, you do have very, very red sights. Next up, we've got some SARs. First one here is going to be the Protocol SAR. This comes in a green and a blue version. And yeah, it just has a very kind of beat up sci-fi weird look, little cobalt symbols here and there. Definitely something that I feel fits into the mystery of Rust. Aiming down the sights here, you do have a green tip or a blue tip for the other one if you look at the alternate version. Next, we've got the Rice SAR, and the whole thing just kind of looks like it's made up to be sushi. And yeah, we've seen this design a couple of different times, and sometimes they make them in, sometimes they don't. I guess it just depends maybe on how hungry Hulk is feeling. Aiming down the sights, we've got a very kind of orangey red tip against that almost flesh tone kind of color to the backside. And there's our reload. Next, we've got some ARs for you. The first one's going to be the Peonies, and this one is a very wood-looking AR. In fact, the whole thing looks like it's entirely made of wood. And then you've got these beautiful peony flowers just drawn on the side, or peonies. I feel like I'm always saying that wrong. One way or another, this just looks like something that was handcrafted in the world of Rust and just fits in beautifully. Also has that kind of American tattoo style to the artwork. Aiming down the sights, you have a red tip painted against that wood grain. And there we are for our reload. Next up, we've got the Predator AK-47. We've seen this design on a few different pieces, and I believe this is a redo on the AK, but one thing I really noticed is the eyes. If you check out the eyes, they almost completely move around with you. They look like they glow, and they have like a depth to them that you normally don't notice with kind of art on a flat surface, and I think they did a really cool job with that. Next, we've got the Resurrection version 2, and yeah, it no longer glows, and it's pretty much just kind of a really kind of carved out, very clean looking AR. Aiming down the sights, you have a button and a simple red dot to the tip. Next up is the Noxious AK-47 by Anathan. We've got another very bright green radioactive AR right here to go along with that sap this week, pretty much. Aiming down the sights here, you've got some more of that noxious fluid and a very chromed out sight with a black tip. Moving on, we've got the Pirate LR for you, and this one I am a little bit... the chick has a really long waist. And it looks a little bit weird and stretched out there for the artwork. I'm not entirely sure on that one there. But with that aside, the rest of it is definitely an interesting work. You've got these kind of like copper cables on the front grip, and then the rest of it is just very, very purple and red. Moving on, we've got an L96 for you, and this one is very, very cool looking. This was definitely in the running for the top 10, and it was a very hard decision not to have this one in there. It is the Tesla L96, and this thing is just very, very cool looking. Aiming down the sights there, you see there's some numbers and other details, even though this thing usually has a scope on it. And there we have that. And we do have one last item, so I'm just going to drag it down and pop it on out. And it is a F1 grenade skin. And the whole thing, well, of course, looks like dominoes. And I think they did a really good job with it. It's got some nice little gold bling to it. And F1 grenade skins are very hard to pull off. It's a very hard skin to work with. The files are very broken. So it's always cool to see one that is done well. So there it is, everyone. Sound off down in the comment section below which ones you are hoping for the most and why. I'll try to pass that on to Helk as always. Any other feedback you have, I'll try to get to whoever it needs to be. Thanks for watching, everyone, and stay rusty.